Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to another edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. We are back from a 2-week vacation. We took the holidays off. I hope everybody had a great holiday season. But now it's time to get back to work and see what has been happening in that secondary market. So Kamigawa Neon Dynasty continues to move card prices, no surprise there. But there are other factors too. MTGO Holiday Cube has really moved a lot of prices this week. You're going to see that as we go throughout the video today. We're going to cover all the cards today that are moving up or down at least $2. And as always, there'll be some surprises along the way. Quickly before we get into the details though, just a fast reminder, if you go to FlipsideGaming.com, you can use the HEROES promo code to save 10% on orders over $10. Currently, you can pre-order Kamigawa Neon Dynasty products there. Their holiday sale is also still going on at time of recording. If you catch that, they do have some items there that are already reduced in price, and then you can still apply the HEROES promo code to get the additional 10% off your order. Remember too, if your order's over $100 or it consists only of singles, shipping will be free in the United States. Also, whenever you use the promo code, it does support the channel, which is always appreciated, so thank you. And without any further ado, let's get into it. We'll start things off with the Standard Legal Spotlight. This is where we talk about standard legal cards that are moving the most this week. Only one card to talk about today. It's going down in value. And that is Pithing Needle from Saviors of Kamigawa. This goes down $2.01 to $9.30, the original copy of the card. Even though it is standard legal, it doesn't see a whole lot of play right now in the format. It is a pretty popular modern sideboard card in many decks, and it's in Legacy and Vintage as well. It's in sideboards there, plus you'll see this in main decks too. It also does get Commander play in Urza Lord High Artificer and more, but of course it is soft because of the recent reprinting in Innistrad Midnight Hunt. And it's going to be printed again in the Innistrad Double Feature product that comes out at the end of the month. That quickly takes us to the Pioneer Legal Spotlight. Only a couple cards to talk about in this section, but they are both going up in value. First, we have Smothering Tithe. This is up $2.47 to $40. It is a huge commander card found in many different builds. You do see this in a lot of Alper Markov decks, and those have been popular since Vampires got a push from Innistrad Crimson Vow recently. Treasure tokens have become a big part of MTG gameplay in recent years as well. And we even saw a preview card from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty recently that creates treasure tokens. The card is on the screen now. It's Sushi the Blazing Sky. And the second card in this section is Emrakul the Promised End. It goes up $3.40 to $43.74. This is the first of many cards you're going to see today that are in the MTGO Holiday Vintage Cube. And this isn't too surprising. We see this happen every time the cube comes back in MTGO. A lot of players engage in that cube. They see some cards maybe for the first time or learn how powerful certain cards are. They decide to pick them up for a commander deck or maybe their own cube. And you even see a lot of players that don't necessarily play cube themselves, but they catch streams where there's streamers playing it. So all of a sudden, these cards that people maybe aren't thinking about get pushed back into the spotlight. Now, this time in particular, it does feel like there's a lot of focus on cards from that cube. Maybe it's just because there's not a lot of other things going on in the secondary market for people to focus on, so they're looking at these cards. Anyway, when it comes to this card outside of the cube, what does it do? Well, in Pioneer, it's in mono green ramp. This also sees a little modern sideboard play in various builds, and it has seen some more commander play recently in Jacob Hawken Inspector / Hawkins Insight decks. That takes us to the Modern Legal Spotlight. We do have some cards going down in value, and then we'll look at some going up in value. First is Kanda, Lord of Iganjo. This is down $3.51 this week to $12.99. This is in a few commander builds, including Seskia the Unyielding, and it was moving up a few weeks ago due to the unconfirmed rumor that Samurai would be in Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. First, we saw some images that were leaked. We saw a poster and an Ultra Pro playmat that had characters that looked like Samurai on them. We saw the collector booster packaging. At first, it was a leak, but later, Wizards did show it, and it was legit. And that has a character that looks like a samurai on a motorcycle on it. We found out that one of the commander decks was going to be called Buckle Up, so that got people thinking maybe we'll see samurai on motorcycles in that deck. Since then, there's even been some leaked cards that go to prove that this theory could be correct. I'm not going to show you these leaks or go into too many details because I know some people prefer to wait until they're officially revealed, which should be happening pretty soon. But assuming these cards are legit and they're real, we did see a green creature, which was a samurai, We also saw another card that created Samurai tokens. So put all this information together, some of these old Samurai cards from the past did get hot. Now they are retracting a little bit as the hype is waning, and they are trying to find a new price point. Of course, once official previews start showing us some Samurai, they could be moving up again. Next, we have Defense Grid from 8th edition. It's down $3.59 this week to $19.72, and this is seeing less modern play now compared to a few months ago. Many decks were trying this out in the post-Modern Horizons 2 meta to see how it worked as a sideboard card, and now you're not really seeing it show up all that much in Modern. In Legacy, though, it's in Ruby Storm, Vintage, sometimes you'll see this in Paradoxical Outcome. Additionally, it also gets a little commander play in various decks. Oathkeeper Takino's Die Show is next. It goes down $3.82 this week to $14.36. This has seen a little commander play in Samurai builds like Toshiro Umezawa. This was also going up in value not too long ago because of the Samurai speculation that we just discussed. It is retracting now, however. Snapcaster Mage, this is the one from Modern Masters 2017. It goes down $4.04 this week to $50.05. This was added to the list with Innistrad Midnight Hunt, and that's part of the reason most likely this card is a little soft. This is also in Vintage Cube, but this one's the only one we're going to see today going down in value. In Modern, you'll find this in Grixis Control, Is It Regent, plus much more. Legacy, it's in 4-color Loam and more there. Vintage, you'll see this sometimes in Paradoxical Outcome, and you'll see this in Commander decks too, like Orvar the All-Form and more. Higuri the Still Wins. This is the copy from Plane Chase 2012. It is the last card going down in value. It is down $5.66 to $29.99. Now currently this does see commander play in Yuriko the Tiger Shadow builds, which are very popular. However, ninjas now have been officially confirmed to be in Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. When Wizards made that announcement, we started to see some of these ninjas go up in value over the last few weeks, and now some of them are retracting at least a little bit. That's the case with this particular copy of Higuri here. Now with that being said, some harder to find ninjas are still going up in value. You're going to see one that's spiking pretty aggressively later in the video. So I did mention Wizards confirmed ninjas would be a part of this set. So let's see what they have officially revealed so far. If you want to take some time to read these cards, feel free to pause the video. I'm just going to point them out quickly here. This is Kaito Shizuki and Satoru Umezawa, both cards that will support the ninja tribe going forward. First card going up in this section is Consecrated Sphinx. This is the copy from Iconic Masters. It goes up $3.48 this week to $42.83. This happens to be in the Vintage Holiday Cube. Above and beyond that, it is a good commander card in Kinnan Bonder Prodigy and more. Cryptic Command. Now this is the copy from the list. It goes up $3.59 this week to $26.85. This was only in the list for Zendikar Rising. And you guessed it, this is another card that's in the Vintage Cube on MTGO. When it comes to modern gameplay, you'll see this in Is It Regent, Teamer Control, sometimes Jeskai Control. This also gets some commander play in Orvar the All-Form and more. Here's a ninja going up in value, and at least in this case, this particular copy is jumping up. This isn't the big mover that I alluded to earlier, that's still coming later in the video. But this is Ink Eye Servant of Oni. It is the copy from Plane Chase 2012. It goes up $3.93 this week to $28.89. So we talked about ninjas already and why they're moving. However, if you look at some of the leaked cards, again, I'm not going to bring them up here since they are leaks, we do see the Rat Tribe playing a role in a couple of those cards. So that could be another reason why this one is not cooling off as fast as some of the others. Currently, this does see commander play in builds like Yuriko the Tiger Shadow again, as well as Marrow Nar. Here's another card from Plane Chase 2012 going up in value. So there was a lot of turbulence within that particular set this week for whatever reason, but this is the copy of Skarg the Rage Pits from that set. It goes up $4.97 this week to $6. Again, this particular copy of the card looks a little dry online. The other copies of this aren't moving like this by any means. However, this is in a number of commander builds, including Tovolar Dire Overlord / Tovolar the Midnight Scourge, and it's in a new build coming out of Crimson Vow, Halana and Alina Partners. And the last card in this section is another card that is in the Vintage Cube. It is Solitude, going up $5.07 this week to $57.95. So this is getting a lot of modern play, and it has been going up and down recently as it's been trying to find its price point, and now it is creeping up again, as you can see. In Modern, you'll see this in 4-color Blink, Azorius and Jeskai Control, Death and Taxes, 4-color Elementals, 5-color Omnith, Reanimator, and much more. Legacy, it's in Death and Taxes, plus it also gets a little commander play too in various decks. And that takes us to the Vintage Spotlight, which is where we talk about cards that see play in the MTGO Holiday Vintage Cube. And also sometimes we'll talk about cards that see play in Legacy, Vintage, as well as cards that are just popular among collectors. Now in this section of the video, remember, because many of these cards don't get a lot of sales, the data you see on the screen is going to be very similar to what you might see on a price tracking website. And remember, on those websites, a lot of times the more iconic cards in Magic, the older cards, the price you see tends to be somewhere in the middle between a high-grade raw and a high-grade graded copy. So that will be the case here as well today. However, if the price is not lining up with what I'm seeing when it comes to true sales, I'll point that out. First, we have Badlands. This is our first revised dual land of the day, and of course, all the dual lands are in the Vintage Cube. I won't keep saying that. This is only going up $2.80 to $477.50 this week, but I thought it was still worth pointing out because it appears these revised copies are collectively on the move again. You'll see what I mean in just a second. Here's Savannah from Revised. It's up $336 to $380.05. Recurring Nightmare. This goes up $4 to $59, also in the Vintage Cube. This is banned in Commander, so we can't blame that format for the increase. Yawgmoth's Will from Urza's Saga. Yet another card in the Vintage Cube. It goes up $506 to $269.86 this week. In Vintage, you'll see this in Oath of Druids, sometimes Paradoxical Outcome. It does get a little Commander play too in various builds, including Carrick, Son of Yawgmoth. Plateau from Revised is up $647 this week to $346.49. Mana Crypt, you know this is in the Vintage Cube. Okay, so we have 3 copies going up in value this week. Double Masters up $304 to $189.44. Eternal Masters up $431 to $193.17. And the Mystery Booster copy goes up $845 to $185.12. So when it comes to Vintage play, you'll see this in a lot of different decks. It's in Grixis Tinker, Aggro Shops, Paradoxical Outcome, Prison Shops, and 8-cast. Very highly played Commander card as well. Sometimes you'll see this in Alper Markov. Aside from all that, some players may want to pick this up because of that Secret Lair Commander deck, Heads I Win, Tails You Lose. That is a coin flip deck, and the commanders are Okaun, Eye of Chaos, and Zender Split, Eye of Wisdom. Another revised dual land here with Underground Sea. It goes up $14.63 this week to $964.51. Scrubland from Revised is up $15.39 to $395.99. Lion's Eye Diamond, yep, this is in the Vintage Cube too. It goes up $17.68 to $599.50. When it comes to Legacy, this is in a few decks: Doomsday, Madness, Painter, Azorius Bomberman, and more. This is also in a number of Commander decks, including some new ones at times, like Grolnok the Omnivore and Toxrill the Corrosive. Mishra's Factory, this also happens to be in the Vintage Cube. However, it's these hard-to-find copies that are moving this week. The Antiquities Fall variant is up $17.86 to $163.99. The Antiquities Spring variant is up $19.84 to $94.95. Blessing from Unlimited goes up $19.95 this week to $199.87. Back to Revised Dual Lands with Tundra. This is up $20.31 to $573.25. Rock Hydra from Unlimited goes up $25.81 to $98.49. Gaia's Cradle from Urza's Saga, another card that's in the Vintage Cube. It goes up $25.98 to $1,026.92. In Legacy, this is an Elves, Maverick. In Vintage, it's in Squee Hollowvine. And in Commander, this is a great card if you're lucky enough to own one. You'll see this in a number of builds, including Lathril Blade of the Elves. One more revised dual land with Bayou. This goes up $28.85 to $580.13. Stasis from Unlimited goes up $52.43 to $349.74. This card kind of keeps going up and down from week to week. Demonic Hordes from Unlimited up $79.77 to $267.92. And finally, Gaia's Liege from Unlimited. Now, this in theory is going up $173.51 to $199.50. Is that for real? Well, in reality, I have seen raw copies sell for about $20. When it comes to a high-grade graded copy, I haven't seen one of those sell in a very long time. So I think this price is more reflective of asking prices, and maybe there's a little bit of market manipulation going on here. And that's going to take us to the Commander Spotlight. All the cards in this section are moving up, at least in part because of Commander, but there could be some other reasons too. I'll mention those as we get to them. So let's see what's happening. We have Bitter Ordeal. This goes up $204 this week to $19.99, and this does get just a little Commander play, but it is a Future Sight card that is yet to be reprinted. Entomb, the copy from Ultimate Masters. It goes up $216 this week to $32.06. This is in the Vintage Cube. It's also in Legacy Reanimator. Plus, it has seen more Commander play recently in Runo Stromkirk / Crothus Lord of the Deep decks. Whim of Volrath. This goes up $224 to $23.50. This is in Commander, Orvar the Allform, and some other builds. This is another older card, this time from Tempest, that is yet to be reprinted. Thoughtcast. This is the copy from Mystery Booster, and this particular copy is a little dry online this week, going up $226 to $472. Now, the main reason this card has been hotter recently is because of Pauper. Ever since Modern Horizons 2 came out, bringing the indestructible artifact dual lands, those affinity decks in Pauper became very hot, very highly played. Of course, this is in those decks. Also, you'll find this in Modern Affinity, Legacy it's in Mono Blue Artifacts, Vintage it's in 8-cast, and it's in a number of commander decks too, including Memnarch. Argothian Enchantress from Urza's Saga, this goes up 226 this week to $44.99. This is in some enchantment-heavy commander builds like Sithis Harvest's Hand. Chrome Mox, this is the copy from Double Masters. Say it with me now, another card in the Vintage Cube. It goes up 238 this week to $76.23. Now, additionally, this is in a lot of commander builds, including Yuriko the Tiger's Shadow. I've seen this in some Edgar Markov builds too. In Legacy, it's in Oops All Spells, Blood Moon Aggro, Curses, the Epic Storm, and Ruby Storm. This 10th edition copy of Lord of the Undead will just not go away. It goes up 245 this week to $25.81. So this was on the list all the way up until the most recent set, Crimson Vow. Regardless though, this is still going up in price. It's great in zombie commander decks, which recently got a push from the 2 Innistrad sets. Of course, this is a good upgrade to Undead Unleashed, and other players are just putting this in fresh builds around a card from there. Will help the Rot Cleaver. Toxic Deluge from Eternal Masters. You guessed it, it's in the Vintage Cube. It's going up 248 this week to $27.35. Also, though, this is going to be in Commander Collection Black, so a lot more copies are coming very soon. I don't know if everybody realizes that. This is a very popular commander card, however. It's in many decks, including some new ones like Toxrill, as well as Umbrasphere Manifest. I do see this in some Edgar Markov decks, too. In Vintage, it's in Sultai Midrange. Blightsteel Colossus from Double Masters goes up $261 to $50.92. And yes, this is in the Vintage Cube. It's also in a number of commander decks, including a new one, Jacob Hawken Inspector. However, I think the main reason this is going up is because of a video Commander's Quarters did not too long ago. The video looked at a 97 land card commander deck, and this was one of the non-land cards in it. We'll see the commander a little bit later. Phyrexian Dreadnought from Mirage is on the move again, up $264 to $107.99. And in Commander, this is sometimes in Selvala Heart of the Wilds and some other decks. In Legacy, it's in Stiflenought. The First Sliver from Modern Horizons goes up $269 to $19.19. So this is a fairly popular commander. Also, it's in the 99 of other Sliver builds. But again, the main reason this is moving is because of that Commander's Quarters video I talked about a moment ago. This is the commander in that 97 land commander deck. In that deck, you play this, you cascade into Tybalt's Trickery, which allows you to counter your commander and then cast the last card that is not a land in the deck. That could be the card we saw a few moments ago, Blightsteel Colossus. Deadly Rollick. Now, this is in a lot of different commander decks. You see this sometimes in Yuriko the Tiger's Shadow. It's also in some new builds like Umbris and Toxrill. It goes up $276 this week to $28.48. Eladamri, Lord of Leaves. This goes up $278 to $90.02. This is in elf commander builds like Lathril Blade of the Elves, for example. Force of Will from Eternal Masters. Again, another card in the Vintage Cube. It goes up $296 to $117.45. This is also in a lot of Yuriko the Tiger's Shadow builds and commander, but it's also in a lot of other decks in that format too. Additionally, this gets tons of Legacy and Vintage play. It's a staple in those formats. Rhystic Study, the copy from Jumpstart, is going up $2.99 this week to $38.97. Remember though, this is getting reprinted in that new Arcane Secret Lair. When it comes to gameplay, this is a huge commander staple in many decks. It's also in some newer decks like Toxrill and Umbris. Palancron, another card that's in the Vintage Cube. It goes up $3.18 this week to $73.99. Good commander card and combo enabler in a number of decks. Vesuvan Doppelganger from Revised. It goes up $3.70 this week to $43.44. You do see this in a few different commander decks, like sometimes Prime Speaker Vanifar, for example. Jeweled Lotus is back again, up $3.90 this week to $99.73. Popular commander card in many different decks, including Urza Lord High Artificer. Again, you'll see this in some popular new decks too, like Grolnak and Toxrill. Metal Worker, this is in the Vintage Cube. It's going up $4.43 this week to $164.98. Now, if you're looking to pick up a foil copy of this, be careful. There's a ton of really aggressive market manipulation around the foils right now, so just keep an eye out for that. When it comes to gameplay, sometimes this is in Commander Kozilek the Great Distortion and more decks there. Didgeridoo, one of those reserve list cards that spikes every once in a while. This goes up $4.61 this week to $34.60. This is in miniature commander decks like Sethron Herloon General. Yup, this is in the Vintage Cube. It is Grim Monolith. It goes up $5.42 this week to $320.50. This is a great commander card and combo enabler. It's in a lot of different decks there, like Urza Lord High Artificer. I have seen this show up now in some Toxrill builds too. Sliver Queen is back again. This is the Sliver Lord that is on the reserve list. It is up $5.56 this week to $395.95. And this was losing value for a while last year. Seems to be recovering as it does appear to be going up week after week. It can be a commander in a Sliver deck, but usually you see this in the 99 around other Sliver commanders. Selenia Dark Angel. This goes up $9.72 this week to $18.99. Sometimes I do see this as a commander, but most likely this is moving now due to its status on the reserve list. It looks like a potential targeted buyout. Remember earlier in the video when I said there was going to be a ninja spiking pretty aggressively? Well, here we are. Sakashima Student. So this is in Commander Yuriko the Tiger's Shadow builds and a few other decks in the format. It is a hard to find ninja, and like we discussed, ninjas appear to be playing a big role in Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. The Plane Chase Anthology copy is up $13.09 to $105.75. The Plane Chase 2012 copy is up $19.91 to $112.33. I don't have a premium spotlight this week. I didn't really see anything I wanted to talk about. I try to pick cards that are moving due to real reasons that could be potential permanent growth. Things like a new deck pushed them or maybe a preview card. I don't like to discuss premium cards that are just moving because they dried up for a week or because they've been targeted for a buyout. So nothing really caught my eye. There's always a lot of things going up and down in the premium market. Just be careful if you're making any purchases because there can be a lot of market manipulation there too. With that being said, that concludes the first Market Watch of the new year. Just a quick programming note, I'm intending to do a video on Wednesday where we do the top 10 hot cards of the week, but I do have some family things coming up. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that video out or not, but I do feel very confident that next Saturday we'll do our regular Market Watch regardless. So hopefully I will see you on Wednesday. If not, though, I'll see you Saturday. Until then, stay safe out there. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible through the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon and have a great day.